Magisk, Device, and coldzera. So, Mark, Nick, why don't we start with you? Who were your picks for T1 there?
Well, for me, with these picks, you want to go for players that you think are going to make it all the way to the finals. You might find better players on some less talented teams, and they might bring a lot of points for you, but if they're only there for the first few rounds, then you're not going to fully maximize the amount of points that you can get from them. So for me, in this case, I think MIBR and Astralis are both going to go far. I love coldzera. He's got the home crowd behind him. As of lately, he's at really high KD of 1.33, headshot percent of 47.5, puts up a lot of damage per round, and a very low death count of 0.61. At Katowice, they were 2-0 lately against some of the better teams, including Ninjas in Pajamas. And in that game against Ninjas in Pajamas, he put up 36.5 fantasy points, which is phenomenal for your tier 1 player. To put that up, consistently is something that you hope for. So
that's what you expect of your tier 1 players.
And with the home crowd behind him, I think he's going to continue that run.
And it's something to consider too. I mean, with only 3 players in here, you're only looking at Astralis and Made in Brazil. There's only 2 teams here. So in the following of that.
And I'll say you can't go wrong with Device. He's a fragger. I think everyone can see that he is a top level fragger. When they play against ENCE at Katowice in the finals, he threw up an impressive 1.45 rating, which is what HLTV rates them by. Incredibly impressive. And put up 35.5 fantasy points in that game. And Astralis, this is the age of Astralis. I think we can all agree upon, and I think we all agree upon they're going to go far in this tournament, or we all expect them to. So taking Device as your first round player or your first tier player is definitely not a wrong move.
Yeah, I don't disagree with any of that at all. When you talk about Device, he's probably, in all of CS right now, has to be the most consistent player, especially when you look at fantasy. If you pick Device, he's always going to be one of the top 2 fraggers on the server.
He's going to be getting points.
Exactly, any given day, right? Magisk, he's ranked higher right now because he just had a really good tournament in the major.
Performing really well.
Yeah, he's coming off an MVP caliber tournament, right? He was named MVP at the major. Again, though, I think when you talk about fantasy, Magisk has a little bit more risk to him, right? He's obviously an extremely, extremely high-level talent. I think there's more risk and downside with a player like Magisk for fantasy purposes and value than there is like a guy like Device. So if I'm looking at this, I would rank Device higher than Magisk if you're trying to determine who to pick between those 2 players. And for me, this decision comes down to Device or coldzera. coldzera again and Device, they almost are mirrored each other when you look at their performances from Katowice. I believe Device right now is averaging 15 fantasy points per map played, and coldzera is at 15.4. So they're basically the same player.
They're so close.
One of the things that Nick mentioned was coldzera, being with MIBR and the tournament being in Brazil. He's going to be so excited, and you have to believe that MIBR is going to do everything in their power to make sure that they're in that grand finals. Like, that crowd is going to be insane for MIBR.
I wish I could be there in Brazil to hear that crowd. The energy in that room is going to be absolutely insane.
I can't imagine it's going to be so loud. So for me, if you're looking for a safe pick here, Device is your guy. If you're looking for someone with high upside, it's got to be coldzera. Like, if somebody's going to go off in this tournament and be the best player and just go unbelievable and probably win you some money with EliteDuels, it's probably going to be because of coldzera. If you're looking for the safe play, Device. If you want that high risk, high reward, and again, coldzera is not really high risk, but if you want that high reward, I personally believe coldzera, this could be one of those tournaments where he just goes lights out and brings your team to a potential championship and maybe a top performance with your fantasy team. So that's my breakdown. For me, I'm going to go more safe. My pick for tier 1 is going to be Device.
Wow, interesting. And you know what? I didn't say coldzera was even on my radar until you mentioned the home field. Because I'm looking at this, I got my eyes are saying Astralis. I'm going with Astralis all the way. But you know what? I like it. I mean, Device, consistent. coldzera, good with the potential high points. But I feel also, if something goes wrong at the beginning of the match with coldzera, I don't think he's going to be able to recuperate from that in a home field.
Well,
I mean, his crowd can be really good for him, but they can also be really bad.
And that's why I said it's high risk, high reward, right? with Colt, and we've seen that a lot with MIBR lately. I mean, they're a team that have played together in the past. They've just recently come back together, and with Colt Zera and just MIBR in general, you've seen slow starts from them. You've seen them get down by 5 or 6 rounds, and it's hard to come back from that. You can hope to think that won't happen because that home field advantage, if you want to call it, or the home crowd there and how loud they're going to be, but you don't know. That's why for me tier 1 is Device, because you know Astralis is going to show up. You know, I mean, I think we're all in agreement here that they're probably going to be in that grand finals. I don't see them how they won't be there.
There's no chance.
So I think for me, the safest bet with your tier 1 and your higher tiered players, you want to go with someone who's safe. I believe that's probably the right strategy here. So for me, picking someone from Astralis and someone like Device, who you know for a fact is probably going to make it in the top 2 teams of this tournament and who's going to perform every game, for me, I need to take those sure fantasy points.
Yeah, I see your sense there. So I'm going Colt Zera.
Okay,
makes sense.
I'm not against that.
I think the home field advantage is going to be play more of a role in his gameplay rather than Device. And you know what? They just won majors. I don't think they're going to be. They're in the mentality that they are the best. They know they're the best. So, and all these other teams are coming in to show that no, you're not. So, and I think Astralis is going to get a run for their money this round, I think.
And I think, like you mentioned, because they're all coming back home, MIBR and, Phelps and Taco coming back, this is a full Brazil team again. You had the American players before. This is a fully made in Brazil team. That home crowd's going to be behind it. They're going to be pumped. But I think, so they're playing Ents first. It has to be Ents' goal to right away try and rip that right from under them, because they're pumped right now, but you could easily tear them down, right?
Ents, we've seen in the majors, they've had a slow start at the beginning. I mean, mind you, they always usually do come back. But in Brazil, I'd like to see how, if Ents has a slow start, how that's going to play out in their game for the rest of the match. Because I don't think they're going to be able to come back from that. I seriously don't.
We'll
the scanning, the toxicity, it'll be too much.
So we have Device.
I'm going to have to go Device.
Device and Colt Zera. So those are your first tier 1 picks.
Yeah. This is going to be a little bit more interesting. We got a little bit more players here. So we got Dupree, we got Naf, we got Exipix, Sergey, right? Sergey, Liege, and Twists. So, Nick, why don't you go ahead and start?
I'm going to keep with the Astralis train, and I love Zipnix. In the last 3 months, he has been on a tear, and you can see it. His KD is up, his damage per round is up, kills per round is up, and death per round is down. Unbelievable.
Wow.
Against Ents in Katowice, he threw up 37.5 points. For a tier 2 player, that is phenomenal. And if you expect Astralis to make it that far in the tournament or make it all the way to the grand finals, if he can be putting up numbers similar to this, there's no doubt that a Device Zipnix 1-2 duo is where you need to go.
I like it. I can't argue against it, but for me, I've got 2 players on my radar for tier 2. One of which being Dupree. Dupree, like me, is almost the same as Device. So consistent day in and day out. And again, there's not much of a difference between him and Zipnix. They're very similar. Zipnix obviously is that the clutch god, right?
Yeah.
But Dupree for me, I like to build my teams a little bit safer. Dupree I'm looking at consistency when I'm looking at my top 2 tiers. I want to make sure I get the right fantasy points and the value for this top guys. When you're picking your 1 and 2 tiered players, you want high points. You want to make sure that you have a high output. For me, I'm picking Dupree, but a close second is Twist. Twist is young. He's got that high power firing ability. He can frag out. He is so good. And when he decides to go off, he can be a top 3 player in not only this tournament, but in the world. However, because of the recent changes with Liquid, I don't know if they can be a top 3 team in this tournament. I'm going to lean more towards Dupree, but watch out for Liquid. They could be turning up in this tournament.
My only problem with players from Liquid right now is they are on an 0-2 skid as of right now, and their first match is set to be against Astralis.
Yeah, that's
And
one big
when
fact.
you play Astralis first, you go into that scared.
That's
and
true.
being on a losing streak right now, they're not very happy about their first match.
It's true. I couldn't agree more. But like I said, you never know. Liquid has been a top tier team, top 5 team. All throughout of 2018, they're considered the Astralis of NA, and there's so much hype around them. I think they can still do it. I think Twist is an unbelievable talent, and fantasy-wise, he could go off, but you have to make sure you get those 6 games in, right?
Yeah.
And for me, that's how Dupree edges out Twist in this one for me. Yeah.
I gotta say, I'm with you on the young guys. I think I find I pick my teams based on who's got the youngest players, because those are the guys who are, they're let's say with Sergey, watching him in the majors. I can't remember who the other player was, but it was a veteran player. I want to say actually it was. No, I don't want to say it because it might not be right. But anyways, so Sergey goes. He's got to defuse the bomb. He usually smokes the bomb. They're playing overpass. Smokes the bomb on B. Does the taunts to defuse, but doesn't defuse it. The other player goes right in, and Sergey's easily able to kill him, defuse the bomb. And I mean, for those players to make those kinds of play, like we see them. With the older guys, it's standard. With Sergey and the young guys, it's I would say not only standard, but it's part of their play. They're, for them to make plays, that's how they play the game. They did Sergey even shooting through what's the oh my goodness, what's the I want to say it's train, but there's a what's it called when they shoot you right through nothing?
Wall bang?
Wall bang.
Yeah.
Okay, the wall bang by Sergey in the major, unbelievable. He had two kills in one match and 3 the next match. Okay, and these are veterans, who are getting wall banged by a 17-year-old kid, which is absolutely insane.
There's no doubt about it.
They don't even know where they're walking.
Yeah, and we did a segment, I believe we had a post on Instagram about Sergey when it was one of the tournaments last year in 2018 where he went off and really made a name for himself. I think it was one of the first tournaments with Ents. There's no doubt about it that this kid is an upcoming talent. And to show what he's done against the best of the best, against Astralis, I mean, they did it in the major. He's somebody to look out for 100%. For me in this tournament, I don't see Ents replicating what they did at Katowice. I just don't think they're going to get to the finals, which is why I will not be taking any Ents players.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
See, I'm with Ents. They may be slow to begin with, but with Dupree losing his father and sorry, not Dupree, yeah, but with with Ents itself, I think they're right beside Astralis, I would say, in terms of teams, especially with Ents. They got Alexei, Sergey, Ariel, and Seven all joined in on the same month and the same day. They're all signed at the same time.
Yeah.
So I think that's a big factor too. In when, let's say, if we're joining a team, let's say if you're joining a hockey team, if you join fresh with all new guys, or if you join a team where 10 people are already playing and 2 guys are added to the team, it's going to be really hard to create that chemistry where Ents has a team who they all joined in together, they all practiced together, they all played together. So I think it's hard to say that. I mean they're going to perform, I think. Are they going to perform really well? I think they will. Just because of how they've been playing in the majors and how they treat their boot camps and their practice, I think they're going to be here at the Blast Pro to perform.
Yeah, I think that they're a good team, and I think they're going to be really good in the years to come or in the majors to come. But like you said, they are a young team, and to go against MIBR in the very first game with this pumped up home crowd and this pumped up Brazilian team, fully Brazilian team, right? I don't know if they're going to be ready to take on this full force that MIBR is going to try and throw at them.
See, and I think they're going to be fine. You know what? They're probably going to lose right off the bat, like Ents always does. And then Ents is going to come right back and just take over.
It'll be interesting to say that's a really key first match for both those teams. I think that first match right there is going to determine the outcome for the rest of that tournament.
Because, I mean, especially if I see Ents on, Mirage or Dust, even Nuke, they did very well on Nuke in the majors, and we saw a lot of bans on those within the majors. So I think we're going to see a lot of Mirage, Dust, and Nuke coming up in the Blast Pro. So I think Ents is going to be favored in this tournament.
Yeah, we'll see. Nuke, I'm not sure. I think you'll see definitely a lot of Inferno. I think you see a lot of Mirage.
I
think you'll definitely see a lot of Dust too. Those three right now.
I hope we see a lot of Dust too. I just love looking at the map.
Dust is the one, and the good thing with those, we tend to see higher frag maps and closer matches, right? So you have the ability to get more rounds and more fantasy points, which ultimately is what we're looking for here, right?
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Perfect. So I believe we'll. It's a good segue into tier 3 here.
Yeah, so leave my Ents team alone, okay? We're gonna do fine, all right?
What is it? Easy friends right now is the hashtag going around. That's it. Easy friends.
Easy. All right, so tier 3. We have Fur, Nico, Alu, Glaive, Ariel, and Forest.
So those first two guys you named, Nico and Fur, I love both of them. And Nico is a tier 1 player. If it weren't for FaZe being on a skid, he would probably be a tier 1 player. And we just saw Kerrigan leave and Adren coming in. I am looking for FaZe to kind of try and take form again. And that also continues with Olafmeister, but I think that Nico needs to be the leader here. And I think that he needs to become that top fragger that we see him so often be. And you saw it last year when they were going for that Intel Grand Slam. Nico was just tearing the competition up, right?
He was really fun to watch.
Yeah, he's an unbelievable player. So I'm really hoping that we see Nico play like how he should be playing and be that tier 1 level player that you can steal in the 3rd tier. And then Fur, I love Fur, but I think I'll hand that one off to Mark, 'cause I know you love Fur too.
I'm definitely, for me in this tournament, I'm all over Fur. I think he's a fantastic player, very aggressive player. He's one of those guys that, 30, 40 seconds left in a round, and you're going, how has he already made himself all the way into apartments or something like that? Or he's got a full flank going on. Like, how did he do that? He's always one of those guys making one of those crazy plays and can come out with 3Ks and 4Ks. And we see that consistently.
Yeah.
And we definitely saw that a lot back in the old SK and Luminosity days. That aggressive style of play with Fur. And I think we're going to see that more and more as they start to get their chemistry back together. So for me, my pick for tier 3 is definitely going to be Fur. He's averaging 13.06 fantasy points right now per map. That's great value. I think as our tier 3 player, Fur is definitely a guy I'm looking for. And like I said, Nico's close. It's definitely a steal. He's 100% a tier 1 player. So at tier 3, if FaZe does make it beyond the round robin, it's a great find there. For me, my picks for the finals are going to be Astralis and MIBR. So you're going to see my team be made up of those players. So for tier 3, I'm going to be going with Fur.
And I just want to throw in there with Nico, I forgot to mention, in their last game, he actually threw up 55 fantasy points. So if you could hope that FaZe can move on, if you got a tier 3 guy putting up 55 points, that's clutch.
If he's having those kinds of performances, you can expect yourself to be at the top level of the leaderboard on EliteDuels. There's no way that you're not with a tier 3 player, and that's where Nico is. Like, if he decides, or if he has himself a game or a tournament, it's not going to be a lower end or mid tier performance. He's going to be putting up those high kill games. He's going to be hitting those 30 bombs per map, right? Like, he has the ability to be one of the best in the world. I think it can come, but for me in this tournament, because the addition of Adren is so soon, and they have only had themselves one tournament to really play together, you never know. It's been some time, but I see Astralis and MIBR being in the final, so I have to go with Fur in this tier.
Yeah, I see like some players I find, they have just the kill sense where the mouse sensitivity and the muscle memory is all there, and the player just has that skill shot. But where some other players can just kill you by knowing where you are or where you are not, right? And I think Fur is one of those players who's going to kill you based on his knowledge of the map.
Yeah.
So I think that's really exciting. And easy ants. I'm looking at this. Look at this. FPPM, fantasy points per match. All I see is 71.8 for Alu. I mean, the numbers don't lie.
It's true. It's true. The numbers
really
don't
don't.
lie. But you also have to look at the amount of games they played at Katowice, right? So they're going to be.
True.
They got a lot more
That's
fantasy
true.
points.
They
They played so many.
They
games.
did play a lot of games.
Yeah.
But I
if
mean,
you look
in
at
those games that Alu played, he always performed.
true. Yeah.
And I would say, as myself, as you know, just I think Ents is going to do well in this tournament. I think just it's fun for me to see Alu play. I just love watching.
I
him
like
play.
that. I'm not trying to be an Ents hater or anything like that. I really respect what they did, especially going to the finals. I love their team. I think we can expect really great things from them, and hopefully somebody who can step up and take on Astralis or be one of those top tier teams. Because I feel like right now you've got Astralis at the top, and you have like this cluster of like 4 or 5 teams trying to get there.
Yeah.
Hopefully Ents can be one of those teams that can make that step up, and I think with what we're seeing so far, the future is looking bright for them.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I'm definitely not trying to be a hater on them. Just for this tournament and fantasy speaking, I'm not on the easy for Ents train right now.
Yeah.
But you never know. If
Fair
they end
enough.
up going off, my team's done.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm picking Astralis MIBR guys all the way in this tournament.
Yeah, fair enough. I just love Alu, watching him with the sniper, just watching that quick scope. Oh my god, I love it. I'd pick him just for his quick scopes, to be honest.
And I do hope that Ents in the future, like you said, they do make that step forward, because we did see a cool run like that last year. I don't know if you remember DreamHack, Stockholm, or North. They actually won the tournament against Astralis, but ever since then, they've dwindled out a little bit. I really hope to see Ents make that step forward and become one of the main teams like Na'Vi and Liquid, right?
Yeah, hopefully you don't see them take that big step down like North did.
Yeah, true.
They didn't
And I
make
feel
it.
like Ents doesn't really have to do much, you know? They just have to like just tighten up a little bit of your team play, and you guys are there, you know?
That comes with time. You know, a bunch of young players, it just comes with time now, right?
That's true. I mean,
The
they
more
got
you
so
play.
much individual skill on that team.
Yeah. It's just, give it some time. I think you're going to see some bright things with Ents. And hopefully they can continue to be in that top tier level CS that we're seeing, right?
So what we say, you're still with Fur?
I'm sticking with Fur.
You have to go with Nico.
Nico?
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm going Alu. I'm going my
Your
quick,
boy
my
Alu.
quick scope champion.
All right. There you have it.
Easy friends. So we have Rez, Phelps, Nitro, Alexib, Guardian, and Stewie 2K.
I did like Nitro, but because you can't take all these players from all these different teams, I'm gonna have to go with Guardian. Stay with the Astralis train. They're 25-2 since November of 2018, and in those games he averages 18.5 fantasy points, which is respectable for a tier 4 player. And to have 18.5 fantasy points all the way through the tournament, you're definitely not going to turn that down. And Guardian, he's not their top fragger, but he's consistently there. He's able to put up the frags when it's needed, put up the kills when it's needed. So I think that is a reasoning, getting those consistent points throughout the tournament, that I'm going to pick Guardian as my tier 4 player.
Right on. Guardian's actually one of the guys I have on my list as well. I think he's a consistent player you can look at to get the frags, but you have been seeing a slow decline in his play since his days with Navi and then going over to FaZe. He does have that ability to be the #1 fragger every now and then. Obviously one of the best offers in the world when it comes to CS, and one of the best probably ever in Pro CS. But for me in this one, I know I've been saying a lot about Astralis and MIBR, and Phelps is in tier 4. Unfortunately, Phelps, over the last 7 maps, he's averaged 8.83 fantasy points. I'm looking for higher upside here, right? So yes, it'd be nice if he moves on, But this is where I'm actually going to go off that board and not take someone from MIBR or someone from Astralis. I'm actually looking at Stewie.
Yeah.
I see Stewie as somebody, again, he has the ability to be an amazing top-level player. I think because of how much shuffling around he's been doing since leaving Cloud9, going to MIBR, that obviously didn't work, and we saw a pretty big decrease in his level of play when he went to MIBR, and now going back to an NA team with Liquid, and they've only been together for one tournament, essentially, right?
Yeah,
there hasn't been that much time. I think the upside is there with Stewie. He's one of my favorite players. When he was on Cloud9, I used to love watching him play. He's, the smoke criminal and doing so many amazing things. I love his play. I think he's a fantastic player. He's going to be one of the guys that I'm taking for tier 4.
Can't argue that. That's reasonable. I mean, I wanna pick Ninjas in Pajamas here. I really do. But just with how my picks are going, like I'm thinking Ensign Astralis is going to be in the end. But one thing to consider here is Rez, because I think Rez is going to do really well this tournament. Especially, I don't think he's a tier 4. I think he's highly undervalued, and I think we're going to see that in the Blast Pro. We didn't really see it much in the majors. I mean, he did well. He was consistent. He put up points. He didn't die a whole lot, but I don't know.
He definitely had his bright spots at the major where he was like, wow, this is a good player, 100%. Yeah.
It wasn't like a no star show or anything.
No,
but, I mean, just for considering my picks, he's a player to think about. But I mean, in terms of my scorecard, I have to stick with Alexi, and I want to pick him. I want the young guys filling my rosters.
Yeah.
I want them. I know they're gonna get all the kills.
Fair enough.
And
you're going with.
I'm going with Alexi.
Alexa, you're sticking with.
I'm sticking with Ents. I'm still thinking. I'm hoping to see Astralis and Ensign lights again.
All or nothing.
I think we're gonna see another repeat of probably the majors.
All right.
Okay, so we have Fallen, Adrian, X7, Rain, Olaf, Meester, Get Right, Lekro, Taco, and Dennis. And now we're going to reiterate this one more time. Do not pick Dennis. Dennis is not going to be participating in the Blast Pro, okay? He will get no fantasy points for the Blast Pro. Please do not pick Dennis. So picks for tier 5.
Well, I do like X7. But like I said, I don't think the Ents are going to make it that far. So I love Fallen. As a tier 5 player, Fallen, to get him, he's part of the MIBR Big 3 that I think everyone knows, everyone loves. Threw up 24.5 fantasy points against NIP last tournament. He has the ability to be a top fragger on that team. Him and Coldzera can battle it out for that #1 spot. And if you are hoping that MIBR makes it far with this home crowd behind them, like I think a lot of people are, taking Fallen in that 5th tier when he is a 2nd or 3rd tier talent is definitely a smart pick.
Yeah, I actually agree. There's actually 3 players I'd like to briefly touch upon in this tier. For me, Fallen in tier 5 is extremely valuable for your fantasy. I mean, we all know that he's definitely not a tier 5 player. I'm shocked that he slipped that much, probably because of his play in the major wasn't that great. But we see him with that off. Like he has to be top 3. Possibly at some point, he had to be the #1 opper in the world at one point, especially on train, watching him play on that and maneuvering on the ladders and stuff around the train.
To me, I think of Fallen as one of the greats, the forefathers of CSGO, really.
100%.
In the SK times.
During the SK, when they were dominating that SK era, it was have to be mainly because of him and his structure and his leadership on that team is amazing. So Fallen's definitely on my list. One of the things I want to touch base on here is Adren. And we definitely saw a lot of hate when we posted on Instagram Adren stats for the major. A lot of people saying that he shouldn't stay, he should be leaving FaZe. I do want to point this out that during his time with FaZe, he's averaged 11.2 fantasy points per map. Compare that to his counterparts on FaZe. Rain is at 11.05. Olaf's at 8.1, a steady decline in his play. Their top player being Nico is at 13.8. So there's not that much difference between top level and Adren. And I think being a player, he's probably put in the most difficult position coming to FaZe. FaZe being one of the top 5 teams for the past couple of years now. Coming over and trying to fit in right away and hold his own. I think he's done a tremendous job. And personally, I think with time, he can establish himself as a dominant and leader on that team. In my opinion, he should stay. I think he's held his own, and I don't see any reason why he shouldn't go. Obviously, we're not privy to some of the information that's going on with, is he a glue guy? Is he a guy that meshes well with the team? We don't know that. But when it comes to a statistics point of view, he's been an extremely good player for them. So I don't see any reason why he should leave. I think with time, it could be a good thing with FaZe. However, for me and with this tournament, my tier 5 pick's going to be Fallen for sure.
And I think you did see with Adren, he obviously did take over Kerrigan's spot. And with a team like FaZe, like you said, with the whole glue aspect, if he's able to gel with them almost, there were rumors that Nico and Kerrigan were not getting along, and that was why Kerrigan departed from the team. So I think that, Adren coming in that situation, it's difficult for him. He definitely... he's flying under the radar right now. Putting up 11.2 fantasy points per map is impressive, especially for a newcomer on a team like that that's been up and down lately. So I think if you are looking for someone to kind of turn it around, FaZe and Adren are who you should be looking at.
I'm sticking with N7, okay? So you guys can do whatever you want. But one thing I think we should talk about is Olaf. It is just, for me, it's sad to see him here in this T5 position.
It's weird because he's a legend when it comes to CSGO.
I said, I would say I'd put him right up with Fallen as a forefather of CSGO.
Yeah, without a doubt. He's
both these guys.
He's an absolute legend in CSGO. Why his performance has dropped so much since leaving Fnatic, I'm not sure why. It could be just so much wear and tear and grind and not much time away from the game. And it also could be from just getting older, right? For me, Olaf, what's the stat right now? He's literally made every single major since the beginning of the CSGO majors. I think that's a thing.
Yeah.
I think it's 7 straight or 8 straight or something like that. He sets a record. Which is so impressive, and you can't speak anything but good things about him.
Yeah,
when it comes to fantasy, for me, I can't touch him right now because it's so unpredictable. Who knows what you're going to get out of him, but he is one of those guys that can... You never know. You may get the old Olafmeister come in and absolutely tear the scene apart, right? But as of right now, at an 8.1 fantasy points per map, I can't touch him. He's too risky. In tier 5, I definitely like to stick with someone like Fallen or even an Adren.
Yeah, they're your safe picks.
Yeah. And it's weird right now because we saw almost last year when they were making that run, Olafmeister, he looked like the old Olafmeister. He looked similar to that. He was putting up some top frags consistently. And if we look in the last 3 months, he's holding a KD that is below 1. Yeah. It's 0.99 KD. And for a team like FaZe, you cannot be having that. And if for your fantasy team, a guy who can't keep a 1.0 KD is destructive for your team.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, you're basically, based off how the points work, you're basically only getting half a point for all your kills.
Yeah.
Right? If he's at a 1 KD.
Yeah, so sad to see poor Olaf there. Well, thanks guys for your picks. So we see a lot of Astralis and Ents, and then maybe MIBR. So as a reminder, EliteDuels.com, we got the 2 contests up and running right now. I would say go and make your scorecard, make your picks right now while it's all fresh in your mind. And don't be afraid too, you can always change your picks before the tournament, okay? And just a reminder, you have the 20 seconds to start, the 20 seconds the cutoff date to enter the tournament, okay?
Let us know who you got in the finals.
Yeah.
Who's your number 1 and 2 teams? We'd like to hear back from you guys.
Yeah,
Let us know in the comments.
All right, and that would conclude today's fantasy show. We'd like to thank you guys for joining us, and we'll see you next week.